Welcome back to Boston has entered the chat. Okay, one last look at this. Our all-time Red Sox Dodgers roster. Of course, Double M says LA owes us a thank you for all the championships we've gifted from these great Red Sox players. But there's no one better, no one more qualified to ask than Alanna Rizzo, who joins us now, who's covered both of these storied franchises. 7 that matter in this league to review, and these are 2 of them, Dodgers and Red Sox. Alanna, welcome, family. It's always good to be with you and good to see you. What did you make of our roster there? What do you think?
It's good to see you guys. This is such a weird segment for me because I'm equally torn because I love both teams, if you can love both teams. I covered the Dodgers for 7 seasons, so it's like Dodgers territory all the way, but now I'm here with NESN, and I love the Red Sox too. So I guess thank goodness they're in 2 different leagues, right? So I liked your roster. I'm a little concerned why Matt doesn't like Kenley Jansen, but that's neither here nor there. I would take Kenley in his prime any day. He's headed to Cooperstown as far as closers are concerned. Do I want Kenley today in the 9th? Probably not, but I would have taken him 9 times out of 10 in his prime. I don't know. I think it's obviously 2 unbelievably good teams, but that's a pretty solid roster. And to Lucy's point, you could probably split that roster in half and have 2 World Series teams going head to head.
So the Red Sox do play the Dodgers tonight as currently constructed. This lineup is the ideal one. They have their 2 lineups tonight. After what we saw last night, I guess I'll just take it back to last night during the game. They did win the game, but a lot of other things happened. What did you make of the Jarren Duran situation last night?
I just feel like Jarren Duran's always in the middle of it, right? Yep. And I think Jarren Duran doesn't know how to control his emotions and his feelings and those types of things. And the last thing you can have, guys, I love the way Jarren Duran plays, right? I love the way that he plays, but it also needs to be with production. And I think if we're gonna applaud Wilson Contreras and the fire and the passion, there has to be production there too, right? And I think Jarren Duran realizes that he's not doing what he needs to be doing for the team in the moment, and he doesn't know how to handle his emotions and his anger and his animosity in terms of himself, like kind of pointing the finger inward, and that's kind of what he did yesterday. But what cannot happen is you cannot have an outward display of disgust about a teammate or yourself or whatever in front of the cameras. That type of stuff needs to be done in the dugout, or away from the dugout, in the tunnel, in the clubhouse, where that is not privy to the media. Because the last thing you want is for these teams, guys on the team, to start scuffling with one another. Remember, obviously with the Mets, with Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto or whoever it was, kind of getting under each other's skin. That cannot happen, especially when the team is playing well and trying to get into the postseason.
Alanna, do you think left field is a need for the Red Sox? Julian McWilliams reported before we went on the air today that the Red Sox might be open to the possibility of trading Duran at the deadline. Is outfield a need for this team?
We keep talking about Jarren Duran, guys, in trade situations, but I think the longer it goes, the less value that Jarren Duran has, because he's not performing to the level that he was performing a couple of years ago when he started in the trade talk conversation. We had a plethora of outfielders, remember? Where were we going to put all of these guys? And obviously with Roman Anthony on the IL and Jarren Duran not performing well, it was good to see Wilyer Abreu get going yesterday. We need him to start performing the way that we know that Wilyer Abreu can perform. Defensively has never been a question for him, but we need the bat to get going again. I don't know that left field is as much of a need as another really good starting pitcher and perhaps another bat in that lineup.
Where are you looking specifically in terms of upgrades that the Red Sox can make? Because we've talked about shortstop, we've talked about catcher. I know starting pitching is one of those needs, whether people want to admit it or not. What's kind of the biggest one that you've had your eye on?
Well, for me, it is a starting pitcher. If this team wants to get into the postseason, and if all, important, because obviously Garrett Crochet, we have no idea what's going to go on with him. Is he coming back this season? I don't know. What are we doing? But you have the likes of Peyton Tolley, obviously, that you love to see. Ranger Suarez is great. I think he pitches tonight, right? Ranger goes in game 1 against the Dodgers. Obviously, what Sonny Gray has done, what a gutty performance from Sonny Gray recently. So I think a starting pitcher would be key. Obviously, in a 5-game series, you're going to, only need 3 pitchers, but this is not not a team that's going to win the division, right? So you have to assume it's going to be a wild card first. So 3 games there and then go, beyond that, 5 games, 7 games, 7 games if they get to the World Series, which is this a World Series team? I don't know. Probably not. Although if there is any year to do it, it's this year because the American League's terrible.
Right.
So I think that starting pitcher would be key. I would love to have another really good bat in the lineup. And yes, shortstop is a question mark, right? Obviously, you get Curtis Mead over here, and then Caleb Durbin says he's willing to play wherever, and then Curtis Mead gets hit in the freaking wrist in the first game that he has. So it's like, bye, Connolly Early. I hope you enjoy Nationals, and now Curtis Mead is out. So that's frustrating too. So shortstop, yes, you don't know what you're going to get when Trevor Story comes back. Marcelo Meyer, hello, are you going to even be here after August 3rd? You're on the IL. So I think starting pitcher, another really solid bat in the lineup, even if it's a bat to come off the bench, and shortstop.
Alanna, you say starting pitcher, and I think a lot of fans might agree with that. Do you have any second guesses about trading Connolly Early now if you feel this team needs to add a starting pitcher?
I had first guesses about trading about trading Connolly Early. I really thought that he and Peyton Tolley, and obviously whatever happens with Sonny Gray, he has a no trade clause. I mean, he'd have to agree to waive it if it meant that he was going to go to a team that needed it, and that's the Red Sox direction. That's the direction they wanted to go. But I didn't want to trade Connolly. I thought there was a lot of upside to Connolly Early. Obviously, with him and Tolley kind of growing up together in this rotation. Garrett Crochet coming back. I didn't like it. I looked at, no disrespect to Curtis Mead at all. I just didn't, that wasn't an impactful enough trade for me to let Connolly Early go to another team this early in his career.
When it comes to shortstop being a need for this team and Trevor Story being out, what do you think the future of Trevor Story is with this team?
What I hate about the Trevor Story situation is I really do not feel, apart from the second half of the season last year, I don't feel that the Boston Red Sox fan base really got to see what Trevor Story can do for a club. I covered Trevor when he became a Colorado Rocky many moons ago. That was the first Major League Baseball team that I covered for 5 seasons. And I saw what he could do there. And it wasn't just because he was playing at Coors Field, because defense doesn't slump anywhere, right? I mean, Trevor Story was so good defensively. And yes, obviously the numbers offensively were good too. But I just don't think he's been that same guy since coming to Boston. I mean, he's been hurt more than he hasn't been. Yep. Mm-hmm. So I don't see Trevor Story. I mean, obviously he opted in this year, right? Because he knew that A, this is where he wanted to be. And B, with the injury history, who knows where he would have landed and at what price. So I think, honestly, as much as I love the kid and I love Mally and the family and all of that, I just think that his days are numbered in a Boston uniform because he just hasn't been productive enough to warrant the contract. And he honestly, I mean, just based on age, he's just not the future at short for this club.
All right, Sox-Dodgers tonight, big series. If you really look at the rest of the Red Sox schedule, this is the last, okay, here's a good test for you before you face a bunch more American League teams that we know they can beat. So what are you looking for? Maybe not wins and losses, but what are you looking to see out of the Red Sox to give yourself a little bit of hope, to give us hope that they can be a competitive team once the playoffs
But also wins and losses.
But also wins. Yeah, if they sweep, great. But,
they're not going to sweep in LA. Yeah. But I do think that I've already seen what I need to see to know that this is a team that can be in the postseason. I mean, what they have done over the last 3 weeks has really been remarkable. And I don't know if you guys happen to see it online, but it seems like every single year at this time of year for the past 4 years, they're at the exact same record, like 57 and 51 or whatever. So
crazy.
It is so bizarre to me that is, I mean, how weird is that? What type of statistic is that? I was like, are you serious? But again, it seems like they heat up going into the All-Star break, right? Which they did last year. They did this year. I didn't even want the All-Star break to happen because of the momentum that they were carrying into the break. But they came out relatively hot. 7 straight series wins. I will take that. The Dodgers will not be an easy series, obviously. I don't know if Ohtani is in the lineup today. The lineups are typically out by noon, and they're still not out for LA as far as I know. So is Ohtani going to be rested? We know he's not pitching, but is Ohtani Ohtani going to be rested in terms of that knee? I mean, the Dodgers are about to go 30 games over 500, and they have a very commanding lead in the division, so they could sit Ohtani for a week. Will they? I doubt it, because it's going to be up to Ohtani. But I mean, I would love it if they could, could they take 2 of 3? Perhaps. I like that Rangers on the hill today. The Dodgers are the least of the Red Sox worries right now. They just have to keep doing what they're doing, and continue to make their way up that wild card chase, make their way perhaps into more of a position in the division, because the Dodgers are not going to be the team that keeps Boston out of the postseason. They may keep them out of a World Series championship, but they're not going to keep them out of the postseason.
It's funny, you alluded to earlier how the Red Sox could win the American League because it's so wide open. And I said earlier in the show, I actually think this weekend is a World Series preview. But in the meantime, in between time.
You think the Sox are going to the World Series?
I do. But it predicates, Alanna, on the trade deadline. You got to get a couple more bats in here. If you can get a couple bats, I do. I think this team can win the American League. Not that the Red Sox are the greatest team I've ever seen, but who in the American League do you trust?
Right.
It's only
Nobody.
the Yankees, and I like Red Sox-Yankees as a matchup. But we have plenty of time to talk about that if that comes. We'll cross that bridge when it gets there. I want to ask you about Wednesday's broadcast against the White Sox. All women's broadcast. Talk to me about that. I know you've been involved before. Just its importance and what you're looking forward to with it.
Yeah, first and foremost, kudos to NESN for seeing the value of what it means to amplify women's voices. I've never wanted to be a sportscaster that's like, I get hired because of my gender. I didn't get hired because of my gender. I just wanted to be the best sportscaster I could be. So, the whole gender thing is obviously a part of it. People make a big deal out of it. But I think once the first pitch is thrown, honestly, it's just business as usual. And last year I did this game. I was the color analyst for the first time in my career because I've always been a pre- and post-game host or a sideline reporter, but I was the color analyst alongside Emma Tiedemann, who obviously everybody knows is the play-by-play voice for the Portland Sea Dogs. And it was a lot of fun. It was just a different perspective of the game. We were lucky. Garrett Crochet was on the hill. He pitched a gem. It was just a good, easy game. And again, Lou Merloni's job is very safe. Let's just be very clear about that, okay, guys? But it's 25 plus women that are going to be involved in this broadcast on Wednesday. And it's a good game, right? I mean, season ends today. White Sox are in, obviously, leading the division in the AL Central. Red Sox are in, trying to stay in a good wild card position, perhaps continue to make their way in the division. But it's a game that matters. What's different about this year's broadcast in the third year of it is that it's almost a mentorship program as well. So there's going to be 3 young ladies involved in the day that are students. So we have Sophia Alvarado. She's going to be shadowing myself and Emma Tiedemann. She's a high school student, so she's not a broadcaster yet. That's certainly her aspiration to be. Bella Daddario handles all the NESN Clubhouse stuff, and then Kelsey McLean is going to be involved as well. So these are young women that are in very early stages of wanting to be in broadcasting. They're still in high school. They're not necessarily working for a network or anything yet, but they're going to be a part of the broadcast in some form or fashion. So it's a mentorship program kind of for the next generation. And I'm looking forward to it. And kudos to NESN and kudos to, women on NESN. I love the acronym ONE. It'll be fun. It'll be a good game, and then the regular crew will be back on the 6th.
Well, Alanna, you've been so great to me. You mean the world to me, and thank you for coming on our show. We love having you on here. We appreciate you, and we look forward to Wednesday's broadcast. Thank you.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
Alanna.
Appreciate you very much.
All right,
Matt, take a look at Kenley Jansen's numbers again, and we'll talk later.
Yeah. I'm looking at his 2020 World Series numbers. We'll talk. See you, Alanna.